Trespassing on someone else's hunting ground. That's not very nice. This is what you left behind? You honestly thought I wouldn't settle the score. Hello? Family reunion? Pass. Tell Auntie, Cousin, Grandma I said hi. I'm entertaining a friend. Doesn't matter who gets sent. Now come at me!
What just happened? Seriously, what just happened? I'm so confused. Hi, I'm Song W. Erickson. Welcome to my channel where I talk about whatever's on my mind. And right now, what's on my mind is the absolute train wreck that is Love in Deep Space right now. 4 days ago, today is Thursday, and I'll get to why I'm recording this video so late in a second. But today is Thursday. Sunday, 4 days ago, on Sunday, I was planning to record a reaction to the Valco announcement live stream, the 6.0 announcement live stream. And I didn't, because I was like, I don't know if that would fit with my channel. I just decided not to do it. Now that live stream is gone. I watched it. Of course I watched it. And I got so excited. For those who don't know, Love in Deep Space is a Chinese dating sim from the company Infold, or the Infold Games Studio, whatever you want to call it. Okay? You may notice that, like, my bed is not even set up the way I usually do videos. The only plushie I moved down to this end of the bed was Silas, because Silas deserves to be here because we're talking about Love in Deep Space, and I am still so confused. Valco was announced just like a week ago, and like up until that point, I had no interest in a sixth love interest. I thought it was silly. I thought we didn't need one, and I was like, eh. You know, it doesn't really feel like, yeah, I know there's the coming soon, and I know there's this and that, and da-da-da. I'm like, but... And to be honest, I actually wasn't interested in the rumors of a red-headed werewolf. I'm like, it doesn't sound like my thing. And then then the first teaser came out, and I was like, oh no, that is very much my thing. And then we got the preview, and then we got the announcement live stream, and we got to see clips of him interacting with MC, and we got to, I was so on board. I was legitimately going, oh my god, is it possible he might replace Silas as my main? I almost feel a little bad about that, because I love Silas. I'm sitting here wearing my ring from the Wedding It banner that happened last year, as well as both level 100 affinity rings for Silas. Silas is very much my main, and I've been playing for about a little over a year at this point. So, you know, I've been here for a little bit. Not as long as some people, of course, but I've been here for a bit. And I just... And like, even when Valco was first announced, right, I saw the word coming from China. I saw that the Chinese girls didn't like him from the get, which I was a little confused about personally, but I was like, okay. And here's my thing. I was like, once he comes out, and once players actually interact with him, a lot of that hate will subside. That was my thing. I'm like, it'll blow over once people actually interact with him and get used to him being there. Now we're not even going to have that opportunity, apparently. And just the way the hatred of the character grew, and then escalating to word coming that this had been picked up by the Chinese news media, and everything about 731 being found in the game. And like, this, at risk of being a little insensitive, I will say this, as as an American, who obviously I have very little connection to Chinese culture, okay, the freak out, or let me say the response. I will try to be sensitive about this. The response to 731 in the game feels a bit odd to me. And like, I understand when I see the Chinese players talk about it. I do. But I think part of the difference is that, like, for me, culturally, if I were in that position and I saw a story about human experimentation that used the number of a historical human experimentation situation, my mind would more be that, like, the writers had done it to create the association in your head of, like, okay, so you know how this historical event was bad? This thing in the story is bad for the same reasons and in the same way. And it would be supposed to invoke that connection to you. And I think that is very much a difference between, like, how... Would that be Western culture? Would that... I don't know. The difference between, like, how I think I would culturally view it versus the way the Chinese seem to view it, which, like, totally fair that there are different cultural responses, but I think that might also be part of why some global players view it very differently than the Chinese players do. I don't know. But again, that getting politicized, and then word that Infold was having to have meetings with the CCP, and then rumors that there are groups in the CCP. How am I, a very Caucasian American woman, in a position where suddenly this big part of my life is being affected by the CCP? This is so odd to me. I'm so confused how this happened. But what's even, and I know I'm all over the place, and I apologize for that, but it's like, this has just been such... Hang on, I am gonna close my window. Sorry. Hopefully that buzzing isn't as loud now. Someone's doing something outside. But, and I mean, again, I know I'm all over the place, but like, my emotions have been all over the place for the past week. Again, realizing that just last Sunday, I was excited about watching the live stream and debating whether I was going to talk about it. And then suddenly it's gone. And getting all excited about Valko and liking posts and seeing the fan art and seeing the official releases, and then suddenly it's gone. And it's like, I am totally aware that this is just a game. I'm totally aware of that. But it doesn't change the fact that somehow when it happened, when I woke up, what was it, day before yesterday now, I woke up and, like, one of the first things I saw was, all right, we've decided to cancel Valko, and I really felt like I'd lost something. And I was just like, how is it? I know it's pixels. In my head, on the practical side, I know that it's just pixels. But I'm still like, he was right there. He was right there. He had a voice, and I could see him smiling and laughing, and it's not a, what do you mean he's not real, but more, what do you mean he's gone? Because, like, again, I know he was never real, and I know he was fictional, but it's still like, what do you mean he's just gone? What do you mean? What do you mean? That's just been this feeling, and then I've been stuck in the doom scroll for days at this point, just watching the shifting information that's been coming out, and the evolving news story that this is, and talk of class action lawsuits and this and that, and then, like, okay, this is all the Chinese girl's fault, and oh no, wait, this is Infold's fault. Oh no, wait, this might be the fault of competitors who were trying to strike at Infold, and it also sounds like it's more on the CCP. Am I allowed to say negative things about the CCP? I don't know. And part of why I didn't record yesterday was because, one, I was still very much in my emotions and I was sleep deprived. Because I'm not gonna lie, this whole situation got to me. And the night before last, I didn't get to sleep until like 5 in the morning just because my emotions were all over the place. And then, so yesterday, I was so exhausted and I didn't have the energy to record. But I was also like, okay, I knew that July 1st is like the CCP anniversary founding birthday, whatever. Again, am I gonna get in trouble for calling that whatever? I know I'm being weirdly sensitive about it, but I knew, because people in China had been saying, hey, we can't really talk about it because we're not supposed to discuss entertainment stuff on social media on July 1st, because we're supposed to, apparently they're just supposed to talk about the accomplishments of the CCP, which, like, I have a new appreciation for my rights as an American. Just, like, wow, But, I mean, point is, because of all that, I figured, I knew we wouldn't get an update yesterday. But I thought for sure I would wake up with one today. I thought for sure Infold was going to say something, right? But there's nothing still today. And it's like, truth be told, like, I've processed through a lot of it. So, like, I was able to sleep last night and I'm feeling a little better today. Just still kind of doom scrolling a little when I was checking Twitter this morning, but it's more because there's so much fan art now, and I love all the fan art. And also, like, Chibi Valko is one of the most adorable things I've seen in a long time, and I absolutely love all the pictures of him that I'm seeing on Twitter. That has been a highlight. And the rumors keep evolving, and it's like, okay, well, they're talking about taking a 2-month maintenance shutdown so that Infold can move to Taiwan or Singapore so they can operate outside the CCP limits, which I wouldn't complain about that, but obviously it's a rumor, and it's like, there's no proof, but we did get a video of, like, one of the Infold employees snuck a video of the Infold chairman pacing in the building, and they're just trying to figure out what to do next, apparently. And the posters of the Love and Deep Space characters, not just Valko, but all of them, have been taken down from the front of the Infold building. And I'm just sitting here going, what happens now? And that's why I was like, okay, I wasn't going to record until today, because I'm like, okay, we'll have some kind of update today, but we don't. And the waiting is bizarre, and this is such a strange position to be in, because, like, I've been in, not necessarily gaming fandoms, because, you know, I grew up in a house where gaming wasn't allowed, and my mom would still freak out if I told her about Love and Deep Space. Boyfriend is very supportive. Mother would freak out, ironically. But I just, waiting, you know, like Penelope, waiting and waiting for Odysseus. Like, is the wolf going to come back? Is he not? And, like, can the game even survive this? Like, even if, like, okay, there's rumors that the CCP might close the game down entirely. It's a rumor, at least. And it's like, even if they don't, and even if the game is allowed to keep going with just the 5 love interests, will it survive the backlash? Like, will people still want to play? Because I've seen so many people who, and even myself, I was like, I just can't see the game the same way. I don't feel the same way. Going into it feels weird. Because, like, there's just so many conflicting emotions now. And, okay, I normally try not to get political or, like, culture war on my channel, just because I don't feel intelligent enough to give good commentary on that. How do I put this? But I'm going to say this because it's something that really stands out to me. One of the rumors is that there are parties in the CCP who want to take down pretty much all these kind of dating sim type games because they blame these games for the low birth rate in China, because women are so busy playing these games that they aren't interested in real men. Let me say this as someone who plays this game and is in a relationship with a man. And this isn't just China. This is every time I see people complain about birth rates in any part of the world, I get so frustrated because women are out here saying very simply, hey, here are the reasons why we're not having kids. Mostly it's economic. Some of it is social. Some of it is trauma-based. There's a variety of reasons, but the big one is economic, right? And when I talked to my boyfriend about this, we were like, yeah, the biggest reason is economic. Not just for me as a woman, but for us as a couple, is economics. And yet people refuse to listen. They keep saying, oh, well, you know, your parents raised you on a certain amount. Sometimes you just have to accept it. You can't have all the fancy things when you're... It is so beyond that. It is so beyond that. But also, like, they try to say, oh, well, women are just corrupted by feminism or this or that. And it's like, reasons. Women have laid out reasons why this is a thing. I don't know about China. I assume at least some of it is the same. Maybe the one-child policy also had an impact on that. Point is, women have said this is why, and people don't listen. I'm not even just saying that men don't listen, because I've seen women who don't listen either, who are so stuck in a particular worldview that they cannot see anyone else's perspective. And it's like, Silas is not the reason women are not having kids. Valko or Raphael or any other character in that game or any of the other games, Tears of Themis or anything else, Mr. Love, Queen's Choice. These are not the reasons women in any part of the world are not having children. And I wish people would listen. But no, it's the same when any millennial talks about, hey, here's why we're not buying houses, here's why we're not doing this or that, here's why we're not doing this. And it's always, oh, well, you just don't know how to manage your money. You just don't know how to do... Listen! I need people to listen, okay? Anyway, Valko. I still don't entirely know how to feel. I'm still completely overwhelmed by still overwhelmed by such a visceral reaction and just the feelings that came with it. I wasn't ready for that. It's one thing to get excited about it, but I just was not ready for the feeling of loss that came with it. And I don't know what happens next. Also, just a side note, because like I mentioned, I wear my Silas rings. I have 3 of them. I have the Raphael wedding banner ring as well. But Silas is my main. I was so excited. One of the first things I said after watching the Valko trailer was, this means new affinity rings. How long do you think it'll be before I can get my Valko affinity rings in the game and then physical copies? And I was like, how quickly can I get it in game? How quickly can I level Valko up to level 100 affinity so I can have the ring in game and then I can get... And now we're not going to get that. And other people have talked about things like we don't know what his nickname for MC was going to be. We don't know what his interactions were going to be like. We don't know this or that. And it's so heartbreaking. And again, I know it's just a game, but the loss still feels so visceral and so real. And it's so strange to realize that just all this in a week. And seeing the statements from the developers saying are like, I was there for his birth and now I've seen his death. And just so much. And also like potential it's like there were so many questions and so many things we were looking forward to learning about the character. And now we may never get that. And I think that's part of why it's so easy to think that like maybe this was some kind of publicity stunt, or to hope that they're going to turn it around and they're going to do something, that something will happen, that Valko will get to stay, that they'll move to Taiwan or Singapore or any other country. Just because it's just so strange that he was there and now he's gone. And Angel's Corner, who is my favorite Love and Deep Space channel, and I love the videos she does about the lore, but she had a clip in her video. I'll probably just put it here. I hope she doesn't mind.
Do you actually understand what this means? Because this is not just like, oh, they removed one character. Like, no, this means they potentially had to scrap an entire writing direction, the UI of the game itself. Looks like it was intentionally designed to hold 6 love interests. And I'm not even going to go on about the writing structure, about how each male lead has foils and contrasts, it's basic character writing, by the way. Foils are not some insane conspiracy theory. Like, I'm getting upset. This is literally basic storytelling. But even without going into all that, just looking at the way the game is structured, it's so obvious that this character was not a last-minute random addition. Like, I don't know if these people who are supporting this, I don't know if they actually understand what this means. Like, it means they have to rewrite things. It means whatever long-term narrative plans they had, whatever base lore they were slowly building toward, whatever connections they planted in the main story from the beginning, from World Underneath, anecdotes, the side content, all of that is now disrupted. Whatever narrative they had planned, it's fucked.
And like, here's the thing. I'm not huge on the lore. Like, part of why I love Angel's Corner's videos so much is because I need her to explain some things. Like, I don't always understand what's going on in World Underneath, and I don't keep track of the lore as closely as she does, so like I kind of depend on that. But still, as a writer myself, the way this just cuts into the main story. As a writer, it's so... just knowing that how much this is going to cut into the main story, and how they'll probably have to change things for this. And that's part of why I'm like, can the game survive? Like, both, can the game survive? Like, will the player base come back? Like, even if they want to, I feel like the trust has been broken between the players and the devs in so many ways, and certainly with the studio. And that trust was already hanging on by a rather thin tether, truth be told, because of how they've handled certain things. And obviously I'm not going into all that. This video is not for my regular subscribers. This video is just for other Love and Deep Space players, quite frankly, and in a large part, honestly, just for myself. Just the way things have been, I don't know how the game survives this. I don't know. I certainly don't think it'll ever be at number 1 again, you know, unless they bring Valko back. I don't know. I don't know what happens now, and I don't know how I feel about the game. I still love the characters, and I still certainly feel attachment and inspiration. But it's amazing how much in just a few days everything has changed and everything's developed, and now still sitting here waiting for a development, waiting for some kind of announcement, waiting for anything at this point to find out what's going to happen. I don't know. I've got no conclusion for this. I just checked the Love and Deep Space social media to see if there was any updates, and there's still nothing. People have pointed out that, like, Valko's trailers and promotional stuff has not been deleted from the official YouTube channels, because if you have the link, you can still see them. So they're just unlisted. They're not officially deleted, which could mean anything. I don't know. While I was checking, I did see someone point out that currently Anime Expo is happening in LA, and even now I still wish I was there, because as far as I know, this is the first time Love and Deep Space is bringing official cosplayers to an American event. And after watching all the cosplayers in China over the past year, I really wish I was there, and I really wish I was getting to see them. Even now, like, I would still love to interact with Raphael and Silas. And I was watching it going, okay, before all this went down, I was like, okay, well, maybe next year. Maybe that's something I can do next year. It would take a lot to make it happen, but, you know, a girl can dream. Valko was supposed to be there, but he got cut very quickly, and, like, you can see the gap in the stalls in the exhibit where it's set up, and things got changed very quickly. But someone pointed out, and they said this was just a thought, and it's something that makes sense to me, that they probably won't say anything either way until after the convention is over, because even if they decide to even if they're able to keep Valko, and even if something happens where they can keep him, they wouldn't be able to bring him back into the convention so quickly after everything. Possibly. So it's like they probably won't say anything until next week, because the convention is, of course, a weekend thing, which, oh my god, that's exhausting. What do you mean this might? Again, this is just a speculation I saw someone make, but it is something that makes a lot of sense to me, that they probably won't say anything until after Anime Expo is done, which would explain why we didn't get anything today, even though I wanted something today. I'd like the suspense to come to an end, but probably not. I don't know how to feel right now. And it's in the last video I did was a kind of personal update for my channel and for me and some stuff that's been going on. And one of the things I talked about is how I had a really big project that I was just about to finish. I finished that project at like 4 in the morning the other day. I went to bed, I woke up, and Valko was gone. And so I have not even been able to celebrate or enjoy that I finished that project because I've just been on this emotional roller coaster of losing Valko. And it's been so weird. And it's like, this is a huge project I've been working on for like 8 months or something. And it's something that like, I don't want to explain what it was because I don't think most people would understand. But this was a personal project that I was doing that moves me closer towards my future goals. And I've been so excited that I was almost done and I was getting there. And finally I got there. I went to bed. I woke up and I haven't been able to enjoy it because of this. And so, yeah, no, this has affected my real life and I'm not happy about it. But yeah, there's no updates. Personal update, yeah, I finished my project and now I just have to finish my fanfic before I go on to get back to writing original stories, which, you know, can't even feel excited about that right now because I'm still very torn up over Valko. But you know, I write a fantasy romance series where one of the main families is has a wolf sigil and they're redheads. And it occurs to me that if Infold isn't going to do anything with Valko, I'm a writer. That's a thought.